Next on the agenda are companion items 13 and 14, which will be heard together. Item 13, VS 240021, vacate and abandon easements of interest to Clark County located between Town Center Drive and Wallapai Way and between Flamingo Road and Clark County 215, a portion of right-of-way being Zenith Drive located between Flamingo Road and Clark County 215, and a portion of right-of-way being Meridian Vista Drive located between Wallapai Way and Town Center Drive within Summerlin South. Item 14, VC 240020, variances for the following: a motion picture production studio, allow special events, increase building height, increase wall height, increase driveway width, and allow a knuckle. Design reviews for the following: a motion picture production studio and lighting on a 30.8 acre portion of 69.6 acres in a C3 general commercial PC plan community overlay zone, generally located on the north side of Flamingo Road, 600 feet east of Town Center Drive within Summerlin South.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Bob Gronauer, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive. I'm here representing the applications today. We're going to take this presentation in three parts. We're going to have speakers from Howard Hughes and from Sony Pictures Entertainment, and then I'll come in and discuss the zoning and land use application. But to my left is the CEO and chairman of Sony Pictures Entertainment. This is Tony Vincicera. And to my right is the CEO from Howard Hughes, David O'Reilly. They'll have some comments, and then I'll come back up here and then make the presentation.
Thank you very much, Bob. Good afternoon, Chairman Segerblum, members of Clark County Commission. I'm David O'Reilly, the CEO of Howard Hughes. I'm pleased to have this opportunity to present for the County Zoning Commission's consideration our proposed plans for the Summerlin Production Studios, this project in partnership with Sony Pictures Entertainment. We're here today as we look to lay the groundwork for the development of our next commercial core in the Summerlin South area, to be anchored by the film studio, among many other community amenities that you'll hear a lot more about in detail when Bob is back up at the mic. Delivering a thriving film production studio will drive economic growth and diversification in a significant way, creating thousands of high-wage jobs, engaging local small businesses, generating millions of dollars in tax revenue for the region, and providing hands-on opportunities for local film students and graduates to advance their career here in Nevada. Our focus remains on the thoughtful and responsible integration of the Summerlin Production Studios into the cohesive master plan. Adjacent to the production studios, we're planning for a mixed-use walkable commercial area with additional office to support the studio, an active outdoor retail destination with shops and restaurants, and a number of neighborhood services, including a future satellite office for Clark County Administration, a freestanding emergency medical room facility in partnership with Valley Health Systems, on which we've already broken ground, as well as the existing Clark County Fire Station, which we opened in 2021. In other words, the impact of this project is not limited to the Summerlin Studio project itself. We're creating a destination that will generate additional taxes, further increase property values, and enhance the overall vibrancy of the community in the region, particularly for those who live and work in the area. Similar to downtown Summerlin, albeit on a much smaller scale, we expect this new mixed-use walkable district to serve both the area residents and the studio employees, as well as the additional retail and commercial tenants, which will transform the area into a popular gathering place for nearby residents and for those who will eventually work at the Summerlin Production Studios. As Howard Hughes has continued to do over the past decade, we've worked closely with local residents and key stakeholders to engage the community and ensure that our new development will exemplify the high quality for which Summerlin is known. Recognizing the importance of education and workforce development, we've made partnership commitments to groups like Nevada Partners, the Asian Community Development Council, labor organizations, nonprofits, and of course, local government partners like Clark County. Howard Hughes, along with Sony Pictures Entertainment, remains committed to working with these groups to hire, train Nevada workers, while providing opportunities to local small businesses and employing union trades during construction. Most importantly, the Summerlin Studios project will provide local film students and graduates with hands-on experience, exactly what they need to build their resumes and grow their careers. As a community builder of Summerlin, Howard Hughes has proven time and time again that meaningful partnerships and collaboration with community members and key civic stakeholders provide great opportunity to help strengthen the landscape of Southern Nevada. Whether it's bringing the first Tournament Players Club to Las Vegas more than 30 years ago, developing the Las Vegas Ballpark or City National Arena, the practice facility for the Golden Knights, are helping to showcase all that Las Vegas has to offer. Just over 5 weeks ago, the Super Bowl had eyes across the country, across the world, focused on this city as a global sports destination, expanding far beyond gaming and the Strip to showcase the appeal of Las Vegas as a dynamic city where people and businesses want to be located. This is what we do. We create inclusive, sustainable communities, and we stay for generations, remaining an integral part of our neighborhoods and a responsible partner who actively participates in ensuring their long-term growth. Our partnership with Sony Pictures Entertainment is no different. As our partner in the Summerlin Studios project, Sony Pictures is a game changer for Southern Nevada. Their commitment speaks volumes about the confidence in their project. And with their participation, Sony is further incentivized to ensure the success of the Summerlin Studios project amidst growing competition for film production nationwide, which will further ensure the successful growth of not just the studio, but of Summerlin and the community at large. I'd now like to introduce Tony Vinciquerra, CEO of Sony Pictures Entertainment, and our partner on this project. Together with Sony, Howard Hughes is ready, prepared to execute, and most importantly, deliver on this project. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Chairman Segerbloom and the honorable members of the Clark County Commission, good morning, and thank you for allowing me to speak with you today. It's an honor to be here, and I really appreciate the time. My name is Tony Vinciquerra. I serve as Chairman and CEO of Sony Pictures Entertainment. Sony Pictures produces or co-produces about 300 television shows per year around the world, including some of these you may know: Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, The Good Doctor, American Idol, The Voice, So You Think You Can Dance, The Night Agent, and many, many, many more. In our motion picture group, we release over a dozen feature films per year, and you've seen some of these, I hope. Recent hits include Anyone But You, Napoleon, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Ghostbusters Afterlife, No Way Home, and a whole bunch of others. Plus, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire will be in your theaters tomorrow, so please go see it and bring your families. It's a very, very good film. Can I sell here too? Is that all right? Okay, all right, thank you. Sony Pictures using the latest and most advanced production technologies with Sony ImageWorks, Pixamondo, and Torchlight. And these things are leading the way in the industry today in technological innovation. They'll all be in the studio once we build it. These innovative technologies are revolutionizing film and television productions, and we're really excited to be driving these changes. Nevada policymakers talk about the critical need, and we've heard this over and over, need to ensure that Southern Nevada's economy is diverse and resilient. And I believe that the Silver State has a tremendous opportunity to do just that with a thriving film and television production industry that is built to last, and that's what this partnership is intended to do. And we can compete with other jurisdictions for film and TV production jobs and investment. Directors, producers, actors would much rather come to Nevada than Georgia. I promise you that. They've all told me that. At Sony Pictures, we know what it takes to create such an industry. We have the expertise and the experience, and it starts right here in Clark County with the Summerlin Production Studios project that David just described. With an enhanced Nevada production incentive, Sony Pictures Entertainment is prepared to invest hundreds of millions of dollars in film and television production right here in Clark County. We look forward to working with community stakeholders and Nevada policymakers as we begin to build the foundation for a new studio and a new industry in Nevada. We thank you for reviewing this project. We really appreciate the time and effort you put in, and we look forward to working with you and other community stakeholders to achieve our shared goal of a stronger, more diverse, and resilient economy for Southern Nevada. Thanks again for permitting to speak with you today.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I will get into the application. As you can see on the overhead, I think the first thing that is important so you can appreciate why these applications are before you, and more importantly, understand that they're compatible and harmonious to the surrounding area, is to get the story with respect to Village 15. And I'll touch on a little bit what David has mentioned in his opening remarks. This property here that you see is approximately 100 acres. This is a 100-acre campus. To give you a little bit of context of Summerlin and their planning, they plan 3 major commercial corridors throughout Summerlin. What was already mentioned is downtown Summerlin is a 300-acre campus. Just to the north and west will be another 200-acre commercial campus. And this is the smaller third commercial campus that we will be discussing today. More importantly, it's bounded by the north is the 215 Beltway. We have Wallapai to the east. We have Flamingo Road to the south. And to the west is Town Center. Some of you who aren't familiar with the Southwest may know some of the existing uses already on the 100-acre campus. Right here in the northwest corner is R.C. Willey, which is located right here. This is the Aristocrat Gaming Campus, which is in the northeast corner on Wallapai in the 215. This is the Meridian Campus. This is a 147,000 square foot office space that we're hoping to get our C of O here in the next week or two, so we start moving people in on the office on the office complex. The fire station that's existing right there, and as David has mentioned, is the emergency freestanding building that's under construction today. You do have the yellow areas are future development that we'll come back and have conversations with you for future development. The blue area here that I'm pointing out is a future Clark County administrative building that's pursuant to our development agreement that we'll be working with the county for future development there. On this hard corner of Town Center in Flamingo, this is where you're going to have a unique experience of a variety of restaurants and retail in this area. Some of the neighbors, when I get into our neighborhood discussions that we've had, this is not designed to be a Home Depot or a Lowe's. This is more in line with the commercial to work within the campus. So what's interesting about this entire campus is we do have a road network, as I'm showing you, that connects to all of the mixed uses of commercial uses in this area. What's interesting about this on the 100 acres that if you work in this area here, you could walk, you could bike, you could drive to the retail area in this area for restaurants and shopping, or use any of the other mixed uses that are within the property without going on the outside, the Flamingo, Town Center, and Wallapai. One of the last things I want to point out about this piece of property is Howard Hughes has always had the vision for the last 25 years when this was approved in 2000 for C3 zoning on this property. Under Title 29, if you're familiar with that, that's a code from about 2 or 3 generations ago. Title 29, when you came in with C3 zoning, it's the most highest and intense commercial uses that you can put on a piece of property, which is generally perfectly planned. As I showed you, we have major arterial streets and right up abutting the 215 Beltway. Now as I get into the entitlement applications, now we get into the 31-acre production studio campus. The first thing that I do want to mention as we go through the variances, because these are variances, because under Title 29, back then everything was under a variance, and so I'll go through variances. If we were standing before you today under Title 30, these are special use permits and waiver of development standards. That's where they would be placed. So the first thing as you see on the overhead here is the 31-acre campus. We have a street bounded here on the west side of our property, which is South Square Marketplace. On the other side here is where that retail center that I pointed out to you. We have another roadway up here to the north of our property, and then we also have a roadway here north and the east side of our property. What's important here is access to the property. Main gate number 1 is going to be the main access on Flamingo, and in a little bit I'll discuss this Flamingo intersection here as we talk about the driveway width that we're asking for the increase. But more importantly, we have gate access of number 2, number 3, and number 4. So most of that traffic that we will be generating will be coming off Town Center, will be able to come into the property and go into any of these gates that I've mentioned to you. So this project consists of approximately 500,000 square feet of space. Within that 500,000 square feet of space, you have 10 stages that I'm showing you on the overhead here. We have mill facilities, we have studio operations, studio facilities, we have offices for support staff, we have bungalows and a commissary. Within the 31-acre campus, we have a block wall around. It will be security 24/7. What I want to show you here is the green that you have here, as you see on the overhead. We meet and exceed the landscape requirements per code. More importantly, what I want to point out is the design team made sure along Flamingo, in this area, along this property line, at a minimum, we have 50 feet of landscaping that we are proposing. We do have a design review for a lighting plan. Your staff is recommending approval for it. It's low-level lighting. We have recessed lighting at the gate entries. We have bollard lighting in the walkways. We have pole lighting up to 20 feet in the parking areas, and our buildings will have wall pack lighting on the buildings. So minimum light will be coming from this property here, and we meet those code requirements. Associated with these types of uses is special events. Special events are going to be corporate events, they're going to be charitable events, and more importantly, the production wrap-up events when a production is done. So we are asking for that variance there, which today would be a special use permit, and staff is recommending approval. Two other variances that I'll touch on here with respect to the site plan that you see. One is the building height. We have a building height here of approximately 79 feet in this building. Staff is recommending approval for a variety of reasons. Okay, number one, the building really is to the rooftop, goes to 67 feet. And then when you add the parapet and the mechanical equipment that you screen, it goes up to approximately 79 feet. But more importantly is the location of the building. This is in the middle of the campus of the production studio, and the closest residential property is approximately over 400 feet to the south of the building that's located here. And let me remind you, in the picture of this is over a football field in distance away. And within that football field distance away to the closest property line, you already have two other buildings that are planned to be in this area. We have a block wall. We have 50 feet of landscaping. We have the Flamingo right-of-way, which is a 100-foot right-of-way where you have another landscape median. And then on the south side of Flamingo, you also have additional landscaping. So when you add up all the landscaping within that 400-foot plus separation between our building and closest residential, is you have about 100 feet in width of landscaping in various areas. But I'd like to add is in C3 zoning, as you recall when I mentioned C3 is the most intense use that you can have and uses on a piece of property, Title 29 allows buildings to be up to 100 feet in height subject to a special use permit. That isn't in the other categories of the zoning categories in Title 29. The reason why it's there is because there's contemplation of buildings being over 50 feet. As a matter of fact, we do have some precedent that has already been approved here in Clark County. You as a commission have approved a number of buildings from Charleston and 215 around the south corridor and southwest of the 215. You could start up at downtown Summerlin, where you have Red Rock Casino and one Summerlin office building. Those heights are well over 100 feet, below 200 feet in that area. You have on Russell and 215, you have Southern Fidelity Mortgage Building, the Keating Law Group Building, and the Gramercy Mixed Use Building. Those heights go anywhere from 57 feet to 97 feet. Around Sunset and 215, you have Southern Hills Hospital, the Las Vegas Corporate Center, Halo Towers, and in those ranges, they go from anywhere from 80 feet up to 133 feet. And then finally, the last example that I'll give you to show that there are taller buildings along the 215 is if you get to Durango and 215, what you have is the Durango Casino. You have Uncommons, which is the Collier's building and Credit One building. Those heights go from anywhere from 73 feet to 216 feet in that area. And then finally, as far as precedent setting on the property, back in 2017, we had approvals and entitlements to build buildings up to 60 feet on the previous drawing that I showed you for the two office buildings that are there. So the height, we believe we've covered. We've given you compelling reasons to approve the height increase that we have on the property. The other issue is the wall height. If you're familiar with this area here, there's a significant grade drop from from town center all the way down to our property is about 50 feet. And as you know, when you're dealing with tough topography in that area and that sloping, we're going to have some higher retaining walls in the area and higher walls. So the 14 feet that you see on the notice is essentially down in this area here on the west side of our property. But what's important to note is that 14 feet is on the interior. So if you're on the exterior, you're not seeing a 14-foot high wall, you're seeing actually inside the complex itself. But I think what's important for the Sienna or for anybody else is on how do we treat the exterior along Flamingo with respect to the wall height. You can see here this rendering that I'm showing you here. This wall height is going to go mainly 8 to 9 feet on the exterior, in some areas up to 10 feet, which is not unusual, and it's similar to other developments within Summerlin, how you step down the wall and you treat it along with the grade. So we believe with the 50 feet of landscaping, the additional landscaping in the median, you will not really notice the wall height in that area of what we're proposing, and staff is recommending approval of that application. So the last variance that I do want to discuss here quickly is the ingress and egress to Gate 1. As you can see up here as I'm showing you, this is the area, this is the entryway to Gate 1 for Summerlin Studios. What's important to note is we're asking to have a 67 feet wide opening for ingress, egress. As you can see is we want to have some controlled access. This is where security is where we have 2 lanes coming in, 2 lanes coming out. More importantly, in our neighborhood meeting, I'll touch on this here, I'm going to get into the neighborhood meeting and outreach that we've had. One of the concerns from Sienna was how this intersection is going to be treated. And I want to thank Antonio for working very hard with us on this matter through Public Works. What I want to show you here is on this exhibit, this is 82 feet in width to the south on Flamingo. So we're trying to line this up with our 67-foot width. So there are conditions of approval that we have to come in with a traffic study and a warrant study so we can have a signalized intersection in this area, which I believe for the Sienna folk that are here will be happy to hear that is a part of one of their concerns that we've had with the discussions. So the last part that I want to mention here before I end the presentation is, as you know, as I went through this, when you come in with variances and use permits or design reviews, there is no mandatory requirement for a neighborhood meeting, okay? However, Howard Hughes and Sony wants to be good corporate neighbors. So they tasked the development team to go out and meet with various neighborhood groups. And we started the Friday before Super Bowl, and it was a Friday night meeting. And we had about 300 people show up at Sienna, and we discussed our development on the 100-acre campus. Subsequently to that, we had a meeting with the HOA board with Sienna to discuss the application in a little bit more details about the heights and everything else that we have on the application. Then we went and we met with Stonegate, which is directly across the street from us, which is a KB home development. We met with that HOA board. Then we met with the Trilogy Homeowners Association, which essentially is kitty corner on Town Center in Flamingo, which is on the southwest side in that area. We also met with the developers of the summit to address some of the questions and issues that came up in those neighborhood meetings. So the purpose of those neighborhood meetings is to see what we can get out of those meetings, to see what they're saying. We wanted to listen to the neighbors. The biggest issue that came out of all those meetings is traffic, okay? Traffic is a major concern. And I think at least on Flamingo in our project, for project purposes, we've addressed that issue here in that presentation of some of the concern of whether or not this could be a signalized area because the Sienna folks have concerns coming out onto Flamingo. However, the other 2 or 3 issues that they have, I'm going to touch on quickly on the traffic. I believe discussions in a different form is best, and I believe this could be led by, and Commissioner Jones has agreed in conversations, is that we can have a separate meeting with traffic and individuals from Sienna and Trilogy and also Stonegate to have conversations on traffic issues. Because some of their traffic issues and concerns is about a mile away. Sienna is a big master plan community. They have another ingress, egress area on Tropicana, and that's about a mile away. Their other concern is access to a new development in Summerlin South called Ascension. There's ingress, egress located there, potential signalized discussions could be had, but that's 2.2 miles away. So hopefully we don't have to focus on those conversations today, and that could be made for another day in a different forum, because that doesn't impact, our project will definitely not impact that. Because if you think about the circulation that I've already mentioned, Flamingo, and when I get out to Town Center and further down on Wallapai, those road networks are the largest networks in your system to carry the most intense traffic around. And more importantly, if you're coming in and out of the facility or the 100-acre campus, Town Center has an on and off ramp where you could go east and west. Flamingo, you could go east all the way down to the 215, and Wallapai is a major arterial that goes south, north, and south in that area. So in conclusion, as I wrap everything up here, as I already mentioned, the property has been master planned and zoned for a major commercial corridor. Your staff is recommending approval. They've mentioned that this project is compatible and harmonious. As a matter of fact, we meet your goals and policies in your master plan that encourages economic diversity and diverse uses on the property.
And I'll turn it over to Commissioner Jones.
I want to get some clarification with regards to entrance number 1 and who will be entering that location versus the trucks, et cetera, that will be coming in different entrances. I think there's a little bit of confusion as to who's actually going into gate number 1.
Yeah, for the most part, for gate number 1, you will have the visitors that will be coming in to check in, who are invited in that area. I'm sure you may have some employees that may come in every so often, because that's just the way it is. But that's essentially it. With respect to anything else what the neighbors were mentioning, we look at this as a nice entry feature. And if I could just add on one thing here is, when we met with the HOA board with Sienna after a subsequent 300-person meeting that we had, what they liked about Flamingo, the issue that they have today coming out, they can't make a safe left-hand turn out there. And so we kind of joked a little bit. We go, well, you don't want traffic. Traffic is there, but the only way we're going to get that signalized intersection here is so we can work together on this. And so the HOA board was in support of that, and they understood, and because they didn't want to have it become a safety issue here. But as far as the ingress and egress here, it's basically the visitors will be checking in and some employees.
Very good. Can you give us just a high-level overview of what the economic benefits of this could be, and the commitment to investment commitment from both Howard Hughes and Sony?
I don't have the exact numbers. I'm going to go to the guy that.
Sure.
David's the guy that has.
David
all
O'Reilly, CEO of Howard Hughes. The Summerlin Studio project itself on the 31 acres is, on Howard Hughes' behalf, over a $500 million investment. Across the whole 100-acre campus, we'll be investing in excess of $1.5 billion to grow the local economy here, increase the real estate tax base, increase the job base, and diversify the economy.
Very good. Thank you. Was there anything else that you want to address, Mr. Cronauer?
No, I think the most important thing is on the traffic. The one thing that I did omit is, because I just thought everybody knew this, but that's on me, is on the other side of Town Center here, and I know you may know this, and some may not know, this is a gaming enterprise district, so that is planned for a hotel casino. And then the property down in this area, because I represented KB Home about 4 years ago on that, that was also commercial property. So the fact of the matter that the property's been zoned and planned for 25 years, this is where this commercial has always been planned, and we have the right-of-way here to help support that commercial in that area. Outside of that, I just want to make sure I made that clear. And
in terms of C3, the commercial, that incorporates basically any type of commercial that might have much higher traffic ingress and egress if it were a downtown Summerlin type of development versus this, where it's really going to be more employees coming on site for the day, once in, once out. Is that accurate?
That is more than accurate. And that's why I put in there some of the neighbors asked, is it going to be a Home Depot or a Lowe's? You put those anchor tenants in this shopping center, you have more traffic coming in and out in this area, and there's more concerns that way.
All right, good. Well, I had the opportunity to sit on the board for the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance for several years, and really their focus on targeted industries, and creative arts was one of the targeted industries for both the state and for our local economic development authority. I am excited about this project. I think it is in line with what has always been Summerlin's mission to have business employment opportunities as well as high-class residential areas like Sienna, like the Summit, like many of the new developments that are going in up there, including one of its newest residents, of course, Mark Wahlberg. I think that this is an opportunity for not only hundreds of millions of dollars in investment in construction jobs, thousands of new good-paying construction jobs, but also more importantly, because a lot of time we talk about the construction jobs and that's super important, but the permanent jobs of thousands of additional permanent good-paying jobs in mostly union jobs from IATSE to SAG, SAG-AFTRA, et cetera. So I am super excited about this project. Obviously, what's before us today is simply the zoning. In terms of other references to tax abatements, et cetera, that is for the governor and the state to address. But I want to go ahead and make a motion to approve this project. My commitment to the residents of Sienna and the other areas around this project is to have subsequent meetings with regards to traffic. Traffic is not a new concern in that area. I have met with Sienna residents and other residents over there every year, basically, to talk about those issues. Our Public Works Department does the best they can in order to address them, and we will continue to have those discussions regardless of when this project moves forward. So that is my commitment to the neighbors out there. And with that, I will go ahead and move for approval, agenda items number 13 and 14.
And before calling for a vote, I just want to make a comment. There was a reference to partners around the valley, and I'm hoping that there will be a partner in East Las Vegas also. So with that, I would call for a vote. Motion passes.
I want to thank you, commissioners, for your time on this project, and have a good day.